This is Aaron Sedler on March
24th.
4th, 24th,
24th.
okay, 2000, interviewing Mike Aguirre for the U.S. Latina and Latino World War II Oral History Project. We are sitting in San Marcos, Texas, doing the interview. Okay. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Okay. Tell me about your family and what your daily life was like during World War II.
How far back do you want me to go?
Yes. When did you join? Did you join the army?
I joined the Army in 1939.
Start about a little bit before that with your family, when you lived with your family.
I beg your pardon?
When you lived with your family a little bit before you joined the war, what was your family life like?
Well, it was just a normal family during after the Depression. And just we thought we was poor and didn't know we was poor, so I was happy.
So did y'all feel that you struggled economically during that time?
Well, we we had food and a roof over our head, so we didn't expect any more.
What did you do for fun as a young adult?
Well, I joined the Boy Scouts, and I was in our church. We had the youth activities, camping.
Camping. Um, what are your memories of your childhood?
Memories of which?
Of your childhood? Did you have any?
Happy. I think they were happy. I'm very contented, and
Do you remember any specific memories of when you were young? Like any Boy Scout trips or anything?
well, we went on hikes and we enjoyed it. And first in the evenings, we'd have these campfires. And it was something different, and being with a lot of other children, other kids are my age. So,
Okay. Where did you go to school?
well, elementary or how far back you mean?
High
I
school.
remember high school. I went to Brackenridge High School in San Antonio.
What was it like?
Well,
Was it diverse?
no, I would. It was just a very few at that time. I guess they referred to people as Spanish, which I didn't like the word the Spanish because I was Mexican. I was Spanish, but there was very just a very small group.
And where did you go to high school?
Beg pardon?
Where did you go to high school?
Breckenridge in San Antonio.
In San Antonio? And so it bothers you when students
No,
speak Spanish?
because I was our neighborhood. I was I guess about the only Spanish speaking family in our neighborhood. All my friends were English speaking from home, so that didn't bother me anyway.
Okay. How many years were you in school? You went from elementary all the way through high school.
Correct.
And you didn't go to school after that?
No, I didn't. Only service.
Um, did you receive the same education as your brothers and sisters?
Yes.
They did the same school years? Was your school segregated a lot at all?
Well, it would. No, I know we weren't. They're all segregated at all.
Okay. What do you remember about what was going on in the country and your community when you were growing up?
Well,
Like what was going on around during those times, like politically or with.
well, at that age, I don't remember being too to one part or the other. All I knew at the time was Democratic President Roosevelt, which he was president for I think 12 years. So all during a lifetime, my part of my lifetime was all the presidents.
Mhm. Okay. What did you do during the 1940s? Like as far as work or your family?
Well, after I left high school, uh, my mother purchased a restaurant, and I worked the restaurant a while at odd ends, and then I went into service. So from then on, it was all service life.
Do you remember anything about like how you felt when World War II started?
Well, as my age group, we was just something forward to look something forward to because join the service and in that age you have no fear. You don't know what happened tomorrow and care less sometimes.
So it was almost exciting to
It's very
join.
exciting, I thought.
Did join like being in Boy Scouts have anything to do with being so interested in the army? You think did it like spark any interests being part of the?
Well, you had a lot of regulations and to go by you the guide.
Yeah, so it helped you out.
Yeah, and I had my mother was very strict, and I had no trouble at all in the service because
Yeah. How old were you when you joined?
I was about 19.
Did you serve in the armed forces during World War II or the Korean conflict?
Yeah, I went in the service in like I said in '39. The war broke out in 1941, and I got out in '45, and I joined the Merchant Marines, and I worked in different places in Detroit. Then I went back to my service in '47.
Well, during World War II, where were you stationed?
I was well, I was stationed from St. Louis up in the East Coast to Bradley Field, Connecticut, and we went to Spokane, Washington, and went down again to South Carolina, and got on a ship and went around the Cape Town and into India, which is now uh, known that was at that time was all India, but now it's uh, another country now.
Was that interesting? I bet that was interesting. Go.
Well, I was on a ship 57 days, so it's very very interesting.
And you were a photographer?
Well, yes, I repaired and installed cameras in an aircraft, and then I worked in the photo lab and took pictures also.
Was that hard taking pictures sometimes,
No,
or did you take
well,
pictures of like the scenery, or I mean, when
well, we took pictures on just ground pictures, and then I flew a couple of times and took aerial pictures. So that's
how did you get along with other men in the same convention?
fine,
Did you all get along?
very good. It was no the service life at that time. What you say, same as up to the time that I retired, and had no trouble at all.
Did you feel? Was there any segregation? Did you feel any?
No, I didn't know we had no segregation.
It was just very.
I figured if you did your job and that was it, you get promoted by knowing something and doing your job.
What did your family or friends think whenever you joined the service?
What happened?
What did your family and friends think whenever you joined
Oh,
the service? They were
it
happy.
was. I guess if I was happy, they made them happy. No question there.
Um, how did World War II change your life? Do you feel it changed your life in any way, serving in it, or that it affected your life in any way, in any strong way?
Well, I
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it to the point that I went back in. So
Yeah,
that itself is mandatory. That
yeah, it was really interesting. Sounds interesting. Um, what did you do after the war?
well, after the war, you mean after I retired in the military?
No, no. Like I know you said that
Well,
you
like
went back.
okay, I like everybody else in that time in 1945, the war ended, so everybody would we got discharged and wanted to get discharged. So I got discharged, and I said before I worked for the civil service, and I also joined the Merchant Marines for about a year, I believe, and then I went up to Manhattan, Detroit, worked up there a few months, and I was enjoying traveling,
You enjoyed traveling.
enjoying different things. just like the kids nowadays. I couldn't find myself.
What did you do in Detroit when you stayed with your aunt?
I worked at Chrysler Company and in the welding shop. So and it's just another job that's something to do.
So how long was the time that how long were you discharged before you rejoined?
I was about 2.5 years. 'Cause I got in 45. I got out, and I went back in 47. So
And
I was out 2 years.
what made you decide to go back?
I I missed my I missed the service
Mm-hmm.
because I enjoyed the service, and
What made you decide to join the Merchant Marines?
I wanted to see some more of the world.
You wanted to travel. That's neat. And you did.
Yeah.
You went. Where all did you go again?
Well, I went to England a number of times and went up and down the, the East Coast.
Wow. Um, what was it like living as a Mexican American during that time? During the
Well, there were certain jobs that the door was closed, and that was it. So,
what jobs were those?
well, I remember when I got out of high school, one of my friends got a job at the five and dime store, and they were not hiring Mexican Americans because they just weren't hiring them, or in grocery stores weren't hiring.
Do you think that that has anything to do with you wanting to join the army thing?
Well, no, well,
I mean, did you feel that, you know,
well, and when I joined the army, that's when that's when they started the having trouble in Europe, and the service was being expanded, and they wanted volunteers. So I guess being a patriotic person, so
hmm
we joined up.
okay. Did you serve in any civilian conservative corps?
No,
No. Did you face any difficulties? And yeah, you already told me that. Do you remember any racial conflicts in your community during the 1950s and 60s?
no, I read in the paper it was going on, but it that's about all I can say. I know they were going on, but I was never affected by it. Well, other than take that back. I came through San Marcos here, and about after I got discharged out of the army, and I was a number of cases they went out Serbia, and we'd serve Mexican Americans.
Really, here in San Marcos?
Yeah, San Marcos, yeah.
Wow. Um, when did you meet your wife? Did you meet her while you were in part of the army?
In Europe, yeah. When I was in Europe,
In Europe?
on my first tour in Europe, yeah.
How'd you tell me?
It was a blind date.
Really? Wow. And you raised a family.
Yes,
Can you tell me about your children?
we have a boy and a girl.
And um, where did you raise them? In
Was in the service, and then we retired here. So they went one of them went all through 12 grades and here in San Marcos, and and the other one was in junior school up to high school in San Marcos.
and was it hard trying to raise them while you were still in the service?
No, service, no problem with service, because we had the education school right on the base
Mm-hmm.
or nearby. There's no trouble there at all.
Did they enjoy that? Was that
Oh
interesting
yeah, they
for them?
it's just one. They're all the same kind, like called GI brats. So they all had the same experience of traveling, and they got along fine.
Wow. Um, are you involved in anything now, like since you've retired?
Well, I belong to the EFW, and we're active in our church.
What's DFW?
Veterans of Foreign Wars.
And what do you do for?
Well, right now I'm a trustee.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And your church, you're involved with your church?
Yes, I'm elder in the church right now, one of the elders.
What do you do?
Well, we're the group of men that we see that the church is run correctly, or and make sure the pastor teaches the right word.
And have you noticed any changes in like the lives of Mexican Americans today as opposed to when you were younger?
Oh yeah, very much so. We're allowed more in different places than before, but now it's very subtle. Before it was right in your face, but now it's and they're subtle about it,
Yeah.
which to me is being a hypocrite. But that's the way it is.
How so?
Well, you're a fine person, but way down deep, that's about that's about it. Like they had an old saying. Well, here at San Marcos is like about talk about the Mexicans. Oh, he says he's a good Mexican, but as soon as you got an education or made more money than they did, he was a smart Mexican, smart aleck, in other words. Oh, he's a smart one. They couldn't stand being you try to be not equal, but being in the same standards with them. So it wasn't easy.
You think that today people are hypocritical?
Well, no, not
I mean,
because we find some some more in the middle income people that are that way.
yeah. That's
But
a whole like for your children, do you think that they experienced any of the
well, our daughter did quite a bit.
she did?
Yeah. Well, you just being in this part of the country.
Being in this part of the country?
Yes, it was down here. It was always being uh they held next to people below or held them back on different things.
And how old is your daughter now?
Well, she's 40 some. Well, she was born in 51,
Okay.
so 45,
What
46.
about in your son? How is he older or
You know, he's younger. He'd be just 40. If you, matter of fact, he'd be 40, I believe, 40 something in March, end of this month.
do you think that did your son feel
Well,
any
my son, being that my wife is German, like complected, and
Mhm.
our son is very light complected. So as long as when we first moved down here, as long as he didn't say his name was Aguirre,
Mhm.
they got along fine. But as soon as he said Aguirre, well, that put a barrier there. And our daughter's always been more like my shade,
Mhm.
my complexion rather, and she always had difficulties with people. Even with the Girl Scouts yet down here. Now, when we was in session in other states, we had they never had any trouble being separated or being not being equal.
So did they feel that when they went to school, were they
Well, yeah, our daughter felt very. That's why our daughter uh, she, she won't come down here very. She's gonna visit us, but as far as living down here, I don't think she'll ever live in Texas or in this part because she went through a lot, and especially in high school.
what kind do you remember any things that made her anything specific that
Well,
made her feel or just in general?
in general, look at general clubs and everything else.
Um well and what do you think could be done to solve I mean, do you think that these problems will ever be solved in this part or do you
Well,
think it's just
I guess when you do a lot of traveling, you open your mind up, or you do a lot of reading. But when you stay in one place for years and years, you don't do that. You get a little narrow minded
Mhm.
and not open minded. So I think that's one of the biggest difficulties in our country when people. Of course, now it's different now. It's getting better, but years ago when you see that anytime you do a lot of traveling, you meet people, and you're open to ideas and other people.
Yeah. Um, do you think that, I guess, the relations between Mexican Americans and um Anglos has improved at all?
Oh,
Or I should say,
definitely,
yeah.
it's improved. She was just improved a lot.
What, like, what term would you like to be called? Mexican American,
I like to be called American Mexican descent.
American Mexican descent.
Yeah, the other stuff with Latino and there's other stuff they got that I don't buy that. But
Why is that?
well, I mean, let's face it. I mean, you don't go around calling a German American
Mm-hmm.
or an Italian American.
Mm-hmm.
Usually call them Americans. Or if you have to, sometimes you say, well, he's Italian descent.
Yeah.
But you know, he's it's German American, Italian Americans, like you do in Mexican American.
Is there any term that like ever offends you?
No, I come to a point I overlook that because I feel sorry for some people more than anything else.
What do people? I guess do people like ever refer to you as like when they
I don't know what
refer?
you're referring to. I have no idea.
Okay, well, okay, well, thank you. I think I'm done.
Well, I hope it serves your purpose.
It does. Thank you very much, and really appreciate it.
Well, the one thing, if it hadn't been for our religion, my religion, I would never pull through a lot of places I, because I feel that I feel sorry for them, and I forgive them for what they were doing, and I try to live above that.
Who?
Well, the people that always like to discriminate a lot, I feel sorry for them, and I pray for them that one of the days that they will see that the mistake they've been doing.
And your religion's help. How is that come?
Well, you're supposed to forgive. According our Bible says we forgive people, we love people, we don't hate them, or we're supposed to get along with people.
Right.
So we wouldn't have all this mess we have now in the South. We had in the past, rather.
So why did you choose to live in San Marcos?
Beg pardon?
Why did you choose to live in
Well,
Texas?
first of all, we came through here, and I was going to retire in San Antonio, but at that time, San Antonio did not have a 4-year college.
Mhm.
And this was the only place that they had a state 4-year college. And the church, we visited the church, and we felt like the pastor, and we stayed, and we came back here, retired here, and then, of course, I retired here, and then I went to work at the post office after I retired, and the kids got education, and the kids who left, they moved.
How long did you work at the post office for?
20, a little over 20 years, 21, 20, about 21 years. And that's another story.
Tell me about that.
When I got down here, I was the first uh, minority, put it that way, to be a carrier down here.
Yeah.
And I came down here. I passed my test. That I took a test in Carolina, passed the test. I came down here, and I introduced myself to the postmaster, and I said, I'm so and so, and I'm ready to go to work. So lo and behold, a few months later, I see a couple of new Anglo carriers. So I found out that they were there. Why? I found out that they didn't have the qualifications I had. So at that time, we had Senator Yarborough was in office then. I went to his office. Because he wasn't there, I talked to his staff. I told him, I said, listen, I think I've been discriminated against a job. And they took my case, and within a week or so, they I got a letter from the post office to come in for an interview, and I got, and then I was hired with it. In fact, I always remember that my first day on the job was the day that President Kennedy got assassinated. I'll never forget the two where I was at my first day on the job.
And so you said you were the first minority
Yeah.
to be hired. So after, were there more?
Well, as you can go down to the post office now and see that I guess we have about uh, over a third, maybe 2/3 in our happen to be women, African Americans, and Mexican Americans. There I said it again, American descent.
Yeah.
So you can just go down and look at this, go and stand in line and see see the carriers on the in town. And I was the first one, and I not only that, that's where I say I went through I think I was challenged a lot because being the first minority to go to work there, and these other guys, they're working then. They didn't. They were diehard people from San Marcos here, and they're always knew that always discriminated against minorities.
Does it make you feel uncomfortable or?
Very much. Yeah, it was always better to be careful because I knew that if I uh, if I lost my temper and hit somebody, that I'd be thrown out, and that'd be a good example for them not to hire any more minorities. So I had to put up with a lot of grievous.
Do you remember any kinds of?
Well, they would refer to those niggers or those Mexicans down in the South Side, things like that. Very dead. It's just, well, they had, let's say, what do you expect? Look what they are. Very downgrading. But I don't know if they were trying to aggravate me, which that's what I said. I held my peace, and I feel sorry for them talking like that.
Yeah. About anything after that you ever experienced?
Well, in fact, it got so bad, so I filed a couple of EEO cases against the postmaster, and now it still is now. A postmaster, just like a senator, they can't be fired. They can
Mm-hmm.
they got a job forever and a day. I don't care what they do. And we had a big EEO case here. 3 or 4 times brought EEO agreements against them, and I passed them all and never found. I was given back pay and given sick leave, all that because some of the stuff that they pulled it didn't go through. But they remain there. But
Did you feel it was the other men that you worked with, or was it also like your boss and people above you?
big point.
Like the discrimination that you felt, was it just like around the people who you worked with that had the same job?
Well,
Or was it everybody? Like your
well, it
boss?
wasn't everybody because not a lot of good people in this world, and not all of them. Now, and I don't want to paint them all the same.
Yeah.
And uh, and then they start hiring a lot of retired military. So we got along fine, and it was just because it's like old times again. And at one time, I guess about 1/3 of the force was military retirees. So we all got along fine in the service. There was no problem there. But sometimes with management always found something to you'd have to pull a grievance on them for they violate they would violate your regulations. So in fact, this town here, I'm getting down and dirty now. they uh, uh, they had when you had your delivery mail. That's people who don't have any boxes or route, or you have a mailbox mail. You pick your mail at the post office,
Mm-hmm.
and they had called general delivery because they did not have either the money or and they didn't they live out in the country, so he'd go out and pick you up their mail, say I'm so and so, give him a mail, and they had three separate. They had one for the white, they call them, one for the nexus, and one for the black, and the mail separated like that,
Really?
and that's the agreements I brought against it, and and then as soon as they came down to check it, sure enough they found that, and the next day they had one shelf of mail was.
Just laid on one shelf.
That's how bad it was here in this town. In fact, it's like this always in the not always, but a lot of these small towns in Texas. I don't know how much you've read about South Texas, particular. We had a a veteran. He was he had the highest medal. They come out with the Medal of Honor down in the valley, and he died. They wanted to bury him in the cemetery, but they couldn't bury him in the white cemetery because he's Native American. So that's how bad it was. And that's right after the war too.
It's still after about. When did you start? When do you think you started to see a change? Was it slowly, or
Very slowly, very slowly.
do you still think that there's a lot of
Well, it's not nice. It's sold on. Now it's not out in the open anymore. Way down, you still find it way down deep. Some of this older people about my age that they still hold back on it. In fact, this we bought this lot here. In fact, this is about the third house in this whole area that new. First, this about the third house is built here. We built it here, and we wanted to buy this lot here. And I came out, I want to buy it, and they wouldn't sell to me because I'm a minority. And it so happened the guy that had this place, the acre here, uh, he needed the money. Something happened. He got financially hurting, so I bought it from him, and then no way, and had to pay cash for it because that was the way it went. So I bought it, and then for a long time, I was only his only minority out here for years, 10, but we've been out 20 some odd years. I guess the first 10 years because they wouldn't sell anybody unless it's cash. They wouldn't sell on terms because they figured they'll cash that eliminate a lot of people, especially the minorities.
Did you ever feel any like animosity around?
No, we have it's a very all these newer people since like I said I was about the third house in this whole 2 blocks here, 3 blocks here. So we got some wonderful professors and a couple of retired people, and
Is it more diverse now?
yeah, very much so. In fact, got a couple of minority Mexican Americans over there and across the street over there, and got one African American down next street. So
And then just within San Marcos, the change was just pretty slow.
well, and well, it don't bother me because we're out here and we do all our we go mostly to San Antonio, do all our buying and stuff. So
I mean, yeah, notice as much as that.
well, I try not to let it bother us. Put that
Yeah,
because there's no use in
right.
if they want to be that way, fine. Well, I don't mind.
Exactly.
I might go and join them. So that's some of the stuff that we've gone through. I've gone through, and then of course my wife. They said, "Well, how could you marry a Mexican?"
Oh, really?
Yeah.
2 years.
Number of times they told me that. Yeah.
Wow. She just.
It was rough. I hope one day I was getting better. I had no question that. It's getting better. People are getting more civilized. So, so I got. I hope you're not too disappointed with my stories.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was exactly what I needed. Thank you very much. Well, thank you.
Thank you.